Everybody, back to another episode of the Design Build Hunt podcast. This is episode number 4, and I've got almost the whole crew on the line with me today. I've got Sam Billhorn from Whitetail Partners, Wisconsin. I've got Jake from Whitetail Partners, Michigan. I've got Greg from Whitetail Partners, Ohio. And we're missing Lee from Whitetail Partners, Tennessee, unfortunately. I think he's out having a good time with the family, though, so good reason to miss. But guys, welcome to the show. We're going to do a little bit of an intro this evening, so let me kick it off like this. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing well, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Anybody been spending some time in the tree?
Yeah, I've been out a few times. It's been good. I got the kid out. He killed a doe. That was early on. That was a lot of fun. And I've got a couple times out in the tree myself. So it's been good.
Nice.
You guys had a youth season this weekend, right?
Yeah, we did. Yep. Yeah, I passed on a doe here this last weekend with a rifle, but got the one in with archery earlier on in the year.
Very cool. Very cool. Greg, you spent a little time in the timber.
Yep, I got to do some good hunting. We had a nice temp drop in Ohio this last weekend, and ended up finding a really nice green bean field just out of nowhere, and decided that was probably a good thing to key in on for the weekend, and ended up getting into some really good stuff. You know, we seen a ton of deer, lots of does just up on their feet, and even some bucks. They were through there, kind of touching antlers, making some sign. I seen them leaving scrapes and rubs and stuff. So it was just really cool stuff to see. You know, I always love watching deer be deer, so it's cool to see that. And if you're not going to go out there and get your target, at least you kind of get to just enjoy what the cold front has to bring. So yeah, it was a good weekend overall.
Right. I was pretty disappointed. We had a nice cold front blow through here in the south, and it seemed like based on Instagram, everyone killed a buck except for me this weekend. At least that's how it felt as I sat back and watched. But we did a little camping and got to spend time with the family, which is always good. But Jake, you guys have been in for, I guess, what is this, day 11 of the Michigan season. Have you been out yet?
Yeah, I've been out one time. So the same front came through Michigan. Unfortunately, I was not able to hunt it. My son's birthday was over the weekend. We also had a family wedding. So my time was spent doing other things. And we did end up getting in the woods on Columbus Day, though. So I think that was Monday. And wasn't really one of the best days to hunt. It was pretty windy, so we just kind of sat on the edge. I took my son with me, watched some does at a distance. So it was a pretty fun hunt, but yeah, didn't really get into it yet. Looking forward to that in the next coming weeks.
Right. Well, it's only going to get better from here, it appears, over the next couple of weeks. But all right, guys, so this is our team introduction episode. And what I wanted to do was to get a little bit more information about each of you individually, maybe how you each came to Whitetail Partners. This is kind of a ragtag group, right? 12 months ago, we were not collectively Whitetail Partners. And now here we are a year later, and we've got a fantastic team. We were just talking off air of how everybody on this team brings something very unique to the table. So what I'd like to do, starting with Sam, to just say, all right, who are you? How'd you get here with Whitetail Partners? And what's your big why when it comes to property and habitat design and management? Like, what makes you get up in the morning and eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff? What gets you pumped when it comes to setting up a client property? What is it about whitetails that captivate you and, have made this your profession at this point? So Sam, we'll kick it off by heading over to you.
All right. Well, thanks a ton, Josh. And thanks a lot for organizing this here and getting everybody together. And, to throw back, we've had kind of the introduction episode for Whitetail Partners itself and the origin that is of, having been involved in this type of work for a number of years. I traveled all over the place. I used to cover this, I'd go anywhere for habitat design and cover many, many states. And through this process, realizing that, I wanted for myself to focus more in the upper Midwest and specifically in Wisconsin where I live, and just that was finding the right spot for me, but also seeing the opportunity to bring the product we had made, which we are heavily focused on providing high quality plans and reports, and really all of this process customized for our clients. Seeing how we could bring that to more people and having great relationships in the industry. Each one of you on the team, I had a relationship with prior to getting into the idea of branching out, of having multiple people on this team and working together. And in doing that, I said, this is the right time. And it was really wonderful. Each person kind of came together. The skill set, everybody has different qualities they brought, and yet at the same time, we're uniformly working under the same process of how we are bringing habitat design and consulting, and now land management and other services to our clients. So, it started about a year ago, bringing everybody in and really getting systems set up and having it be a process for each of us as we work with clients so that they're having a similar experience, but then folding in our expertise within our region, all the things that we bring to people. And really, that's been the focus of having regional experts serving our clients. And that's how things have come together to this point.
Yeah. So Sam, just we've alluded to this in other episodes, especially when we talked about the legacy piece in an earlier podcast. What's your big why? Like what makes you get up in the morning and this be the first thing on your mind?
Well, the reason I got into this in the first place was to do an exceptional job with habitat design, planning, and helping clients develop their properties unique to them. I look at this, and so much of what I saw out there was uh, repetitive process of similar designs and things like that. And knowing that every single client is so unique, not just their property, but in their hunting style, their ability, their desire to develop their property, all these things to make a really custom plan, as well as how we present it and communicate it and the deliverables and all the things that we talk about all the time. I saw that we could do that so well. And then for myself, as we look to branch out, I love teaching. I love working with teams. I was excited to bring each one of you in as doing those same things in your region on the areas that you're working in. And I think that it's been really a wonderful experience for me to have all of those background pieces come together and see that now in all the various regions that we have.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jake, we'll kick it over to you. Newcomer to the podcast here. I've had you on some other podcasts before in the past, but Jake, you are our local professional for Whitetail Partners Michigan. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you got hooked up with Whitetail Partners, and then maybe your big why.
Yeah. Yeah. First, yeah, thanks for having me on here. It's fun to be on the podcast. But I guess a little bit about me. I've been hunting my whole life. My dad was taking me out hunting when I was a young kid up in the tree, and always had a lot of fun with him. I don't really know if I liked hunting or spending time with my dad. I liked being in the woods. It was a lot of fun. And then after I shot that first deer, I was absolutely hooked after that. And so it was just I just kind of fell in love with the woods, fell in love with whitetails, and I think you know our hunting group, we were really the stereotypical Michigan hunters. We kind of just went out to the woods, had fun. We saw a deer, shot deer. It wasn't as bad as maybe brown is down, but it was pretty close. Back when we first started. It wasn't really until 2009, like the 2009 season, where we got introduced to a group, the Quality Deer Management Association, and now that's the NDA, that we kind of opened our eyes to what was possible with whitetail hunting. And after that, we really changed the way we did things, and it took a couple years, but after that, like we were really starting to see, different the quality of deer on our property greatly improve, compared to the neighboring properties. And that really kind of got me hooked, and I just kind of went down the rabbit hole with habitat improvement and just different things that I could do just to continue to improve our property. And then habitat design was a big part of that. And when talking to friends, family, neighboring landowners, just with like different strategies and things that maybe they were doing on their properties, and this is like, again, like down the road from when we started, so it wasn't immediate, but down the road from when we got into it, you kind of got the sense that there's a huge opportunity to teach others, that not everyone sees things the way that you do. And it's not that they're not good hunters. I think it's more that you don't know what you don't know. And I just saw that as a huge opportunity to take what I have learned over the past decade and help other hunters here in Michigan. So, and then that's going to kind of like, I guess, carry into my why. I really enjoy the habitat piece of it, going and improving the habitat on my property to hold more deer, hold a better quality deer herd, as well as apply different hunting strategies. There are so many things that we do so much differently on our properties now than 13 years ago when we pretty much flipped the switch. Um, so just really going out there and helping other Michigan hunters. And when you, I think I listened to your podcast, like I think you guys talked about this in the last one. This is a big reason for me too. When you help somebody and you put that plan together, and they send you that first picture of the deer that they killed after you delivered that plan, and they call you on the phone like immediately after, that is like one of the coolest phone calls that you're ever going to get, just because you know they put in all the work, like all the credit goes to them, but you provided them with that plan, the vision for their property. And it's just really cool to just be a part of that experience. um, Another, like there are so many whys to why we do this, but like I'm going to do one more. And it's I know like one person can't make a change the state, but I really want Michigan to be a better hunting state for older deer. Like very few people, maybe none, travel to Michigan to go hunt deer. Right? You're not going to go take your 2 weeks off when you live down in Ohio to go travel to Michigan to hunt the rut. It's the opposite. People in Michigan, they travel to Southern Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio to go hunt those states for the pre-rut and the rut. And it is what it is. And like I kind of understand that, but if I just want to try to, if I can, help localized areas improve their hunting by developing plans for them. Then you word of mouth, neighbor contacts, you do a plan for the neighbor. And so and maybe over time, if enough guys are doing this, we can flip Michigan around to be a better quality hunting state. So I would say that those would be my two big whys.
Right. Very, very good, man. And we all know we're all deer hunters, right? So we all know that phone call, that first or second or even fifth phone call you make after you get a buck, that's an honored place. Like when you just think about the people that you make that phone call to. So when you're getting a phone call from a client, like that's not only a huge win for us, but it's also, man, that's a pretty honored place. It's awesome to have that kind of an impact for someone else. And like you said, they've done all the work at this point. Like they have put in the sweat equity to earn that deer. But like you said, teaching folks, and you don't know what you don't know, getting to be part of that process is amazing. So Greg in Ohio, we'll kick it over to you next.
Oh yeah, so I actually had a pretty similar upbringing that Jake had. I grew up in mid Michigan, and my early hunting days were spent heading up to our deer camp in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I went up there long before I was the one holding on to the firearm, actually doing the hunting, and I would just tag along with whether it would be my dad or another family member headed out into the woods. And that's just where I really learned how deer use the land and just like kind of what it meant to actually like see deer out in the woods. And it also showed me like what the camaraderie and the brotherhood of a deer camp atmosphere was like. I think experiencing that from a young age, it kind of has stuck with me through this whole thing to see how much like joy and happiness just deer hunting in general brings a group of individuals. Like for us, it was a group of guys. I was obviously by far the youngest one up there, but I attached to that at a very young age, which kind of led to when I was a teenager being able to drive. I remember still getting my first bow when I was 16, and this was even before still we had Onyx on the phones yet. And when I had my first bow and my first truck, I instantly went online and tried to find the closest piece of public land to where I grew up, and I plugged in all the waypoints on my GPS and just started figuring it out. I would go out and frequently get lost and not kill a lot of bucks, but I would be out there having a good time. And that kind of just kept building and building my passion in the whitetail world. Um, my first job was even in the whitetail industry. I helped like a small local outdoor brand kind of get up and going with a lot of like marketing stuff and like product branding, just things like that. So I always just like seem to find a way to be in this type of industry just right from the very beginning. And then I moved on and started playing college baseball, and I kind of had to take a step back for a few years just because the time and physical commitment to that journey was just something all on its own, and I just really had to not spend as much time in the whitetail world. And then once I graduated college and I was done with my playing days, it's really been from that point on just like this slow but steady passion that's just been building from within, and actually like figuring out how to do it at a professional level and how to bring as many as much value as possible to everybody that I get the chance to work with. And really I would say the why behind like why I do what I do is just simply because I've had all of these experiences that I can think back on from such a young age, being out in the woods, like you said, like those phone calls that you get, whether it be from a family member or your buddy that just shot the biggest buck of their life, or the card game that you have back at deer camp with the group after everybody's back from the woods telling the stories. And it's like those memories and experiences all started with like some sort of whitetail dream, and I now have a chance to do that on the professional level to like create those dreams for other people. And I've personally set a lot of like big goals around whitetails in my life, personally and professionally, which has kind of led me to where I am today. And I now feel like I'm in the position to like bridge that gap between dream and reality for people all over the state of Ohio and beyond. And that's just something that it makes me very excited to wake up and like think about having a direct impact on either a brand new hunting tradition or being able to continue a hunting tradition to the next generation. That's just something that like it's very easy for me to just keep getting up and doing what I do every day. Anyhow. So yeah, that's pretty much it on my end.
That's really good. Well, I'm going to keep the Michigan connection strong here. So Jake from Michigan grew up hunting there. Greg grew up hunting in Michigan as well. I grew up. My dad is from Michigan, from northern Michigan. He grew up going to up to the UP to the deer camp, and I grew up in the deep south of Alabama with him telling me all about what hunting in the UP is like. And so we started hunting there, and things were very, very different than what he was used to. I remember wandering around, public land in Alabama with him, and he's like, "Why are there no deer trails? Why, why, why was that a deer that just ran past you? It looked like a dog." And I'm like, "Yeah, that was a deer. It's just really, really tiny compared to what you're used to up there in the UP of Michigan." Um, but we grew up in the deep South, and in the time frame that we were hunting and spending a lot of time managing these properties that we had leased, whether it be, a couple hundred acres where we started out, or, at the end, I think our largest lease was somewhere in the 3,700 acre range. I mean, a very large property that we had the opportunity to manage. But a lot of it was just from a perspective of, hey, we're gonna do what's good for the habitat. We're gonna do what's good for the deer. We're gonna plant some stuff. It's gonna be great. And then working with foresters to come in and, burn the property and that kind of thing. But learning later on in life, like, hey, when you make an improvement, it changes the way deer behave. It's not just we're taking care of the landscape. And it's not just we're providing stuff for deer. This changes things. And so in my mind, I started to kind of drift. I'm like, now wait a second. If we really are changing things, then we can improve the hunting. So, for me growing up in our first couple of years, it was a huge deal to even see a deer. I think my first season we saw 3 deer. I saw 2 during the youth season and 1 on the very last day of the season, which I was able to harvest. It was my first buck. So to go from that to where we are now was just this huge change, and being part of, taking something that people love and helping them take it to the next level. Because, man, for us going back to camp, it was always a conversation of what we didn't see or what we saw driving in or driving out. And it was never like, oh, so and so killed a big one. It was like, hey, I saw a doe with a fawn, and that was really, really exciting for us. But then, realizing that there were things we could do to improve our hunting. We could actually manipulate the property and see more deer. We could actually hold off on shooting that young buck. And wow, he's around next year and he's bigger. Oh boy, that's a big change. We could stop. Back in the day for us, running dogs was a very big thing. We can stop running dogs through our property. We don't have to send 30 or 40 dogs through the thickest stuff that we have. We could just let deer live in there and let them come out to us, and we can make informed harvest decisions rather than just shooting at whatever happens to run out of the thicket. And so, culturally for us, it was a big shift. But getting to where we are today, and then obviously taking in all kinds of content, and then I met Sam and got to be on a property with him and see his whole process with Whitetail Partners, and really see the way some of the habitat improvements have changed the way that deer use the landscape. That to me was this huge aha moment. And for me, I think the why comes back to helping people find more enjoyment in this thing that we all love so much. I spent a lot of time as a kid really loving hunting, but missing out on so much because we just didn't have a lot of success. We didn't see a lot of deer there. Just the way our properties laid out and the way we hunted was very sloppy. 99% of hunting for us was luck. We would go out and find a spot that we thought looked pretty, and we would sit there. And usually, looked pretty means we could see a long way. And so going through that process and realizing, like, wow, we can not only improve hunting, but we can take this to others and help them improve their hunting, help them to take this thing that they love so much and they're so passionate about to the next level and enjoy it all the more. That's what gets me up in the morning. We are missing another teammate, though, from the South here, and his name is Lee Dixon. He's part of Whitetail Partners, Ohio. Whitetail Partners, Ohio. He's not in Ohio. Greg, you're in Ohio. He's Whitetail Partners, Tennessee. It threw me off earlier because Sam kind of mentioned that Ohio could be Southern, and I'm like, man, I've never heard anything in Ohio considered Southern until tonight. But
No, I meant that Greg could cover for Lee.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So anyway,
Pitch
guys,
hit, pitch hit.
that's right. That's right. So, man, we've got some exciting stuff coming down the pike. I'm curious though, maybe what's one or two things that you guys are looking forward to with this podcast? We've got all kinds of huge ideas. In fact, our next recording session, we've got a property breakdown that I'm really, really looking forward to. I think our listeners and our viewers are going to get a lot out of that. But maybe what's one or two things you're looking forward to?
Well, Josh, you jumped on it and stole my thunder. I was going to say I
Oh
can't
no.
wait to start to diagram some properties, and no, that's fine because I'll just elaborate a little bit and say, we pride ourselves on these designs. That is
Right.
really at the heart of what we're doing, and I'm not I'm not trying to hide them. You're going to see a lot of plans on this podcast, and we have it on YouTube, and we're going to show what we're doing, what we're up to, situations that work. Maybe people can get some ideas. If they need help, they know where to find us, and we can come help design their property too. But I'm looking forward to teaching through this and showing examples. And you guys have all seen it from me, and it's going to happen. I'm going to get super excited and jump out there and start to go off on a plan, and it'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we've decided that on those nights we need to set aside 3 or 4 hours to record because Sam may just not stop. So you guys better
Lots
be
of
ready.
popcorn. Lots of popcorn.
Yeah, those are going to be really good. And, I think that's one thing that will set apart, see how we can say this well. That's one thing that will set apart our content, I think, from what we might see out there already, is that there are a lot of people who are really good at talking about whitetail property design and habitat management, but they keep enough close to the vest where you'll never really see or know what it is that they're up to unless you hire them. We're gonna put a lot of that material out there. You're gonna see a lot of what we're doing on the ground, and I think you're gonna learn a lot that you can take and implement on your own property. So, Greg, Jake, what are you guys looking forward to on this podcast?
Yeah, the same thing as what Sam said, like going over property designs, but also like as we get it into each individual improvement, different ways to put in a bedding area, or different ways to steer deer through this part of your property, or maybe enhance this one area of your property that it's already consolidating deer movement, but let's pinch them down even further. It's different strategies that we use within habitat design to uh, create consistent deer movement on our properties. Like just for like a bedding area, for example, there's a couple, like you can do it a few different ways. I'll just go over three. I mean, we could, you know, clear cut the woods, let it come back. You could, girdle the trees, let the sunlight in, let the regeneration fill in, and or if it's a younger forest, go in with hinge cutting. There's different tactics for creating just a bedding area, let alone the other habitat improvements as well. So just like different reasons why to, uh, like Greg might want to do something differently than me, and that's totally fine because there's more than one way to accomplish the goal. And so that's kind of what I'm excited to do is like hear your favorites, and or maybe why, like if I do something, like why you would not want to do it that way because of one reason or another. Just because I do it one way doesn't mean that Josh has to do it the same way. He might say, I don't want to girdle trees, but I might want to just take them down. So that's kind of what I'm excited to hear, is a little bit of a back and forth on what we might agree on and what we might disagree on. Like for example, I like miscanthus grass, but Lee, he does not like miscanthus grass. So that's going to be interesting if we ever talk about screening, because I'm going to go hard on miscanthus
Yeah, and
just
that's
to get
really
Lee
good.
going.
What's
I'm
miscanthus
excited
grass?
too.
Miscanthus is it's a perennial grass. It's
I'm
it's
joking. I'm just joking.
oh, okay. Okay.
I was just
There,
standing in the middle between you and Lee. That's all. It'll be fun to see that
Okay.
debate.
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be a good one. I'm excited to get into not only reviewing these designs, but maybe, I don't know, roasting each other just a little bit or raking each other over the coals just a little bit of like, hey, I would have handled this differently. I would have done it this way. Why'd you do that? Or hey, this is weird. I never would have put that there. Or how do you expect this to work? Or but I'm also super excited to learn from you guys, right? Like really excited to hear why in Michigan, miscanthus grass might be fantastic. Here in Georgia, we have some other things that we might use that are a little bit different. Um, Lee in Tennessee, I want to know what he's using. If he's not using miscanthus, what's effective screening? Although in his video, was that bamboo they were cutting down?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were cutting down down in that bottom, but I think he was using the Northwoods Whitetail HD plot screen to screen off his soybeans. That's what he
Right.
was using in front of his tower.
Right, right. And I think they have, what is it, a good bit of Egyptian wheat in that, I think.
It's a hybrid sorghum, I think. I
Hybrid
think
sorghum.
they do have a separate Egyptian wheat product.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Greg, what are you excited about when it comes to this podcast and the content we're going to be producing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm really excited about is the idea of like challenging my mindset as a designer, and just like the way that I look at the woods and kind of anticipate deer to move through the woods, whether it be naturally or once a design is implemented. And I'm always a fan of like putting my ego aside and like letting people look at the flaws in something that I'm doing, because I just feel like it makes me better in whatever that skill is that I'm trying to perfect. And that's probably what I'm the most excited about, is just being able to like have my thoughts challenged in like this group setting, because being able to talk in a group setting with people that have a wealth of knowledge outside of what I already know is just like, that's just so valuable to me as an individual, let alone to our listeners when they're able to hear it on the complete other end. And it just is going to make the product that we put out there so much better for our future clients. And as we continue to work with our current clients, as we just continue to craft these skills better and better, I think it's all really exciting stuff coming out in the future.
Yeah, and that I was going to hit on that point exactly of constantly getting better. I think that's something we take seriously as a team, and something that I think a setting like this is going to allow us to do. Not only helping others by teaching them and letting them know what we're doing and why we're doing it in specific scenarios, but we're all learning. We're all figuring out new ways of doing things. We're learning from each other's experience. I can't remember how much experience we have all combined. We did the math at one point. Sam, do you remember what that number was?
I don't know. It was a lot.
Uh,
I know it's over on the website. I know that on the homepage
yeah,
of the
Yeah.
website, it has all the states and the acres that we covered. But
Over
yeah, you can. It's a lot.
15,000 acres of design. I know that.
nice, nice. Yeah, so lots of time, but I'm excited to learn more from you guys as well as maybe be challenged on a couple of things. But guys, that's going to wrap up this episode. Anything we need to leave the listeners with?
Well, Josh, I want to jump on that too, and to say, just to wrap things up, I'm really excited for all the different perspectives we have here. I think that as each of us unpacks what we're doing, where we're doing it, and get into the regional specifics of what we have, I think there's going to be something for a lot of different people out there. There's concepts that translate for sure from area to area, and there's some that may be more specific, especially when it comes to timing and strategy and tactics, and as well as seasonal things, what grows, what doesn't grow, and there's just so much to talk about here, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun as we unpack it.